It seems that a video about the Chicago Feast is currently going viral. As for the supporters, I have never heard players criticize them. It's becoming so poisonous. In my opinion, our league is quite poisonous, with many of the supporters arguing back and forth about how basketball and sports should be able to bring people together. It's like hatred in every game. The same fans are saturating stadia and driving up attendance. Napheesa Collier, why don't you do that? They simply don't get it. It comes with the goal of growing your league. These women are ill-equipped to deal with increased attention and admirers. These WNBA supporters will be the same ones who attend Unrivaled. In actuality, it's quite absurd and depressing. Clark ended Napheesa Collier's career 2 minutes ago. Napheesa Collier is correct when she says that WNBA supporters are toxic. Are these the same fans who are saturating stadia and driving up attendance? The WNBA is toxic, and they are to blame. Fans jeering at players from the other team has led to a lot of awkward complaining and sobbing. Clark is stealing the show, selling out venues, and setting records. In the WNBA, Clark has solidified her position as the most well-known player. Write 100% for Caitlin in the comments section right now if you're all for her. In a recent podcast, Napheesa Collier described the current WNBA fan base as toxic. Even though basketball and sports are meant to be so unifying, it is becoming so toxic in our league with so many supporters bouncing back and forth. It's like hatred in every game. This is an enormous argument that directly affects the WNBA's long-term prospects. She claimed that the amount of hate on social media and in the stands is excessive. Not to bother you, but you are aware of what, to be honest, a little unexpected and disappointing. I feel like it's becoming so toxic in our league, with so many fans arguing back and forth about how basketball and sports should be so unifying. But it's so toxic that every game is filled with hatred toward other players, not just for the originals, like Angel and Caitlin, who are the ones with whom people will get so polarizing, but for everyone. It's like we're playing a game. We're engaged in a game, and you're making derogatory remarks about athletes. I don't know, that has been somewhat unexpected. With that, I think we're headed in a very poor direction. Let's break through the clutter, though. Before Clark joined the league, Collier and others had never had to deal with what she perceives as toxicity. Genuine attentiveness. Take refuge in their small bubble. Now that the discussion about fandom has finally arrived, they're really surprised. They're referring to it as toxicity. It hurts me every time Fee talks, dude. It is painful to me. She consistently demonstrates how disconnected from reality not only she but also the league's players are. According to Collier, this goes beyond the fierce competition that surrounds celebrities like Clark and Reese Andrew. It was half empty at the games before Clark arrived. Arenas are now completely booked. This is what you guys stated. You all stated that you wanted people to attend. This is what you guys wanted, you guys said. Furthermore, it demonstrates the league's deficiency in media training. Players hardly had to cope with outside criticism prior to Caitlin. These days, the WNBA has real rivalries, social media trending issues, and ESPN top billing. Toxicology is not that. That is the definition of success. You absolutely need all of your fans to go watch and show their support. If you have anything negative to say about fans, you should say it. This is where everything is revealed by the numbers. Despite their success on the court, the Minnesota Lynx, where Napheesa plays, are ranked 9th in the WNBA attendance, with only 9,000 supporters on average per night in a stadium with about 19,000 seats. The Golden State Valkyries are your new team. Napheesa Collier has joined a new team in the WNBA. The league is led by them, 9,000 foul-smelling fans per night. Even in seasons when they win, that's no guarantee. Contrast it with Indiana Fever, starring Clark. Attendance skyrocketed as soon as she joined the league. The Fever are now among the top 2 WNBA teams in terms of attendance, and almost all of their road games sell out. The fact that Caitlin is visiting the area is driving up ticket sales for teams like Phoenix, Atlanta, and even Las Vegas, not because of their own stars. The Golden State Valkyries, a recently formed expansion team, are already the most popular team in the league in terms of attendance. Furthermore, nobody on their roster is griping about the enthusiasm of their fans. They're boosting the game, enjoying the buzz, and profiting from the support. You win that way. Why then does Kier label this surge in fan enthusiasm as toxic? What caused the unexpected sensitivity? Easy, as she isn't its spokesperson. People strive to find an excuse to be critical of Brune. It seems to me that people attempt to find anything negative to say about Fee. As if there were nothing to be angry about with that girl. You just discover this on. As if you get there. You get there. She actually made a sacred Napheesa Collier. She reiterates the idea that some players are simply not prepared for the limelight to be placed on them in her most recent appearance. What sets Caitlin Clark apart from the others is this. She isn't avoiding the limelight. It belongs to her. Caitlin Clark is showing up, working hard, and winning over fans by being everything the league needs, while others talk on podcasts about how difficult it is to be heard and seen. Conspicuous, powerful, and unafraid. They simply don't get it. It comes with the goal of growing your league. When Napheesa Collier called WNBA fans toxic, she believed she was speaking for the league. She appeared on a podcast featuring Sue Bird, and Megan Rapinoe stopped the session to express her disappointment at the hate that pervaded the atmosphere. However, the response was harsh and quick rather than laudatory. She doesn't raise her head. She plays hard on every play and doesn't say anything. However, it's with everyone, and it seems like we're playing a game because people are so cruel. There. You're screaming terrible things while we're playing a game about players. Fans didn't simply disagree, for example. This is the truth, and it offended them. The individuals who are buying the jerseys, packing the arenas, and giving this league more attention than it has ever had are the same people she accused of being negative. For those who were at last beginning to take notice, Collier's remarks seemed like a kick in the face. There has been a lot of awkward crying and whining, boo-hoo about supporters jeering at players from the other team. These women are unable to cope with increased attention and a larger fan base, and you are constantly wailing, griping, and attempting to disparage the fans. It was perfectly expressed by one fan. You cannot demand respect, sell tickets, and seek celebrity, then cry when the crowd responds. That's how Caitlin and Angel are. People will become very divisive with them because they are the originals. But it happens to everyone, and they are just really unpleasant. And we appear to be playing a game. You're speaking nasty things about other players in the game we're playing, and you're terrible. That is so horrible, my goodness. Sports are like that. It operates that way. Either you accept the cacophony, or you give in to it. Dealing with such choices and making the most of them, rather than giving up, is a part of being an adult. If they are unable to cope, they retire or quit. Hold off until she learns about the struggles faced by NBA players. Yes, hold off till she learns. WNBA players are conflating normal sports fandom with hate. And Caitlin Clark is unique because of it. Caitlin is enjoying the limelight, while Collier and others are griping about it. She doesn't flinch when she reads the headlines and hears the alcohol. She reacts as a true professional would. That man gets jeered every time he touches a ball when you return to Boston, dude. It is exactly that. It's part of the sport, dude. However, I would prefer to have never entered. Actually, though, I have. I've never been jeered in an arena before, but it felt similar to college. However, I know that I would have the time of my life if I ever entered the stadium and was jeered. Do you know what took place? Because I'll be kissing the audience. Be angry with me all day. Do you understand what I mean? As if you're meant to accept it. Bro, it's not. What you want is for fans to care about the game and have feelings. She scores 30 points in games on the court. She uses one deep three to silence entire stadiums. More than any podcast, she lets her game do the talking. Fans are pointing out the unfair treatment in the meanwhile, because Caitlin Clark is urged to toughen up when she is shoved, elbowed, or fouled hard. However, it becomes a crisis when seasoned players like Napheesa voice their displeasure with supporter noise. Because she forced herself off the squad by leaving the season on a maximum contract, she deserved to be jeered. And now it's poisonous. Why is it just an issue when the old guard isn't favored? Former WNBA players also had something to say. According to Courtney Williams and others, straight, Tisha Heidman and Courtney Williams will say what has to be said. This is fantastic. Let us examine the opinions expressed by the stud buds. What do you think about the Indiana crowd jeering DB? I mean, it seems like you've previously discussed this. What did we say? They don't seem to be jeering her personally, in my opinion. Perhaps they are simply jeering at her since she is chilly, and they abandoned her. she departed from their group. Sports are involved. You have to deal with being jeered. They reminded everyone that when LeBron James departed Cleveland, he was jeered. Although she isn't cold, she is being jeered because she quit the team. Don't. You folks think that when LeBron James returned to Cleveland, he was jeered? In Boston, Kyrie Irving is jeered each time he touches the ball. I think booing is just a simple way to show respect, because if you were nobody, they wouldn't even be concerned about you. Regards? Because, well, that's like Kyrie, who gets jeered every time he touches the ball when he returns to Boston. That's just NBA legends, NFL players, and MLB guys who are jeered, bro. However, none of them refer to it as hate. When a player returns to the MLB, NFL, or NBA, they are jeered. Therefore, we relocate continue. They refer to it as passion. Then, never gripe about poisonous fans. Never in the same way as the pros in other sports. And leagues survive because of that passion. The entitlement is the issue, not the fans. She's on here with Sue Turd and Megan Rapinoe. Consequently, the questions will be laden. The conversation will have a very woke tone to it, and sanctimonious, finger-wagging, and whining. Still, Napheesa, you did it. You visited UConn, just like Napheesa. Gamble Pavilion is where you all play. The atmosphere there is antagonistic. The WNBA and its players are not prepared for professional athlete treatment. Collier grew up in a time when there was little fan base, little criticism, and little input. However, the WNBA is new. It's more energized, louder, and dirtier because of Caitlin Clark, and some players simply cannot handle it. And that's precisely why Keir's remarks backfired rather than merely missing. Rather than mobilizing support, she revealed a widening gap. Jealousy grips Napheesa Collier. They hope that's how their fans will behave. A gap between the older players, who desire the benefits of celebrity without the stress, and the younger generation of athletes who are embracing fan culture. You can't have both of them. Is that you cannot invite supporters and then chastise them for their response. Quit attempting to instruct a fan on how to be a goddamn fan. And Caitlin knows it better than anyone else. She didn't ever request preferential treatment. Fans were never silenced by her. After listening and learning, she lets loose. She has people camped out in arenas because of this. That's why number 22 is worn by young females nationwide. Because of this, her jersey continues to sell out, while Napheesa's does not. Therefore, Keir's attempt to portray fans as evil only served to highlight Caitlin. It served as a reminder to all that real stars shine when pushed. Not only is Caitlin on the rise, but the entire league is following suit. People constantly bicker, quarrel, and fight about sports. This goes beyond a single podcast or poor remark. At the moment, the WNBA is seeing the end of an era. Additionally, Napheesa Collier may be the first well-known celebrity to be captured in the act. Caitlin Clark's meteoric rise in the league did more than increase viewership or jersey sales. She changed the definition of WNBA stardom. She became the face without waiting years. On day one, she stepped into the spotlight, attracted millions of viewers, and made everyone take notice. And many people are frightened by that. Why? Since it alters everything. Prior to Caitlin, Collier and other players were automatically at the top of the league. Despite their quiet professionalism and high, steady stat numbers, they were actually leading in silence. These WNBA fans will be the same ones who attend Unrivaled. It has to do with the supporters, and this is frightening. Right now, a video is becoming viral in relation to Napheesa Collier at the moment. What's stopping you, Napheesa Collier? In actuality, it's quite absurd and depressing. Never in my life have I heard players criticize supporters so effectively. I apologize for interrupting you. You know what, to be honest, is a little unexpected and disappointing. Given how many of the supporters in our league are arguing like Napheesa Collier, I feel like it is becoming really poisonous. Do the fans as a toxic WNBA caused by the same fans that fill arenas and drive attendance? There was no growth in the league. There were no sold-out games. There was no media coverage. No spark was present. Then Caitlin showed up and turned up the volume. The WNBA has national TV deals all of a sudden. Prominent figures appear courtside. The Sports Center operates highlights of each day. Like it or not, Caitlin Clark's name is the driving force behind the majority of it. For someone like Collier, who has been doing things correctly for years, to be totally eclipsed in a single season is difficult. Here's the harsh reality, though. Fairness isn't the point here. Firepower is at issue here. Caitlyn is the person whom the fans have selected. They attend her games. In opposing arenas, they shout her name. The WNBA debate still centers on her, even when she isn't playing. Take a look at the figures. In terms of media attention, fan voting, and jersey sales, Clark is in the lead. The league is genuinely keeping an eye on it. You must realize that. People weren't listening. You have to. You're probably thinking, oh yes, they were. Yes, they were, when people say this. Look at the All-Star voting 2 years ago, and now, look at this year's All-Star voting. She is solely to blame for the sold-out arenas in more than 10 cities this year. Even seasoned athletes have to acknowledge it. The money comes when Clark plays. Compare that to Napheesa Collier now. Despite winning a championship, despite playing in the league for years, and her name doesn't trend even if she is a good player. She doesn't sell out of her games. Not even her Minnesota home fans can pack the house. Nearly 19,000 seats are available at the Target Center. Her squad is barely making $9,000. For an all-star, that is less than 50% capacity. If the league isn't paying attention to you, how do you lead it? Furthermore, Kier is resisting rather than changing. Wish to be traded to that team only. There, handcuffing the Indiana Fever even more. As though ardent supporters are the issue. Rather than the product, she is characterizing the momentum Caitlyn has created as toxic rather than appreciating it. The problem is that the product is doing well, but not for her. This is the harsh reality. The WNBA, as Collier knew it, is being replaced. While you really want to sit in your comfort zone, you want to get paid as if they're paying attention. Furthermore, Caitlyn Clark is in charge of the takeover. In this league, she is altering the standards for what it means to be a superstar. National titles are nothing new to UConn, and they're ready. Just in case, they removed the lamppost beforehand. Therefore, it's no longer simply about statistics at UConn, where they had ardent followers and a raucous atmosphere. It has to do with culture, charisma, and connection, and all three belong to Caitlyn. She interacts with her followers. She appeals to a wide range of people. She is able to headline and hoop. The media calls her because of this. Sponsors line, up for this reason. Because of this, even young children who have never seen a WNBA game before are familiar with her name. Kier, meantime, is on the defense, defending a rapidly vanishing version of the league, in addition to trying to maintain her relevance. Additionally, when a player begins to argue with the fans rather than win them over, that's not being a leader. Legacy erosion is what that is. It is Lexi Hull who takes their place, so you give up rather than battle to regain that position. To spend time with your booing, you go somewhere else. It has nothing to do with skill. Although Collier is still able to play, skill is only half the picture in the WNBA today. The impact of the other half. And Caitlyn's influence at the moment is incredible. These WNBA supporters will be the same ones who attend opposing games. Like no one else before her, she is boosting teams, income, and attention. For you to receive the compensation you believe you are entitled to, the WNBA needs your support. Let's be very honest here. And someone will eventually fade when you shine that brilliantly. Napheesa Collier had long hoped the league would expand. However, now that Caitlyn has made it happen, in the process, she's seeing herself turn invisible. And the reason this is so dangerous is because a career might terminate without an official retirement or injury. A moving spotlight is all that is required. A PR catastrophe for the WNBA results from the collision of these two stories, Nisa Kerr's remarks and Reese's injuries. Due in large part to controversial and must-see players like Caitlyn Clark, the league is now receiving the widespread exposure it has long desired. Additionally, Caitlyn Clark is advancing that spotlight significantly. It's leaving the old guard in the dark. Kier's playing days may not be over, but something much more lasting is about to begin. The end of her power. Furthermore, Caitlyn didn't need to speak. She simply did what she was supposed to do. The rest was taken care of for her by the fans. There has been a lot of awkward crying and whining, boo-hoo about supporters jeering at players from the other team. These women are unable to cope with increased attention and a larger fan base, and you are constantly wailing, griping, and attempting to disparage the fans. They simply don't get it. It comes with the goal of growing your league. Even though basketball and sports are meant to be so unifying, it seems like it is becoming so toxic in our league with so many supporters bouncing back and forth. It's like hate in every game. Napheesa Collier was not attacked by Clark. She didn't respond negatively to podcasts. She didn't plead for attention. She just did what she was supposed to do, accepted the pressure, and let the fans speak. She now owns the league. Clark is the noise, even when other people complain about it. Some players simply cannot keep up with her redefining what it means to be a great WNBA player up. Therefore, consider if Napheesa Collier is still the future, or if she is merely a remnant of Caitlyn's past. If you think Caitlyn is in her level right now and everyone else is only trying to make it, then give her a perfect score. Yes, the WNBA is at a crossroads right now. Only the start of the end of the height.